All righty. Jerry, what's going on there? What do we got on the agenda today, fuck?
Well, today, WJ, we're talking about AEW and why it fucking sucks, WJ. Why it's terrible. It's awful.
That's right, Jerry. Having myself a little coffee. What are you drinking today, Jerry?
I'm drinking Excelsior there, WJ. A premium beer at the low price of probably 50 cents there, WJ. It's a good premium beer there, you know what I mean? But don't know if anyone's aware, but all the ports are closed in Northern Ireland, so here we are now.
So is it a good beer or a shitty beer? Somewhere in the...
It's actually pretty good, I'm not going to lie. A bit dry, but compared to most beers that I've had, it actually tastes better.
Well, you know what isn't good or what isn't better, Jerry? AEW there. Possibly the worst major or supposed major, like this fed wouldn't count as a major wrestling fed back in the day there. Mm-hmm. If ECW counted as a major fed, then ECW is a lot bigger than this so far. Maybe one day AEW will get bigger. I don't know there, but
probably not.
Like for a fed that's considered a major fed, this is probably the worst one so far, because even TNA in its heyday, Jerry, now it's on life support, it's trash or whatever. But in its heyday, there was a lot more stars, you know what I mean? Some of them were finished too. They're like Jericho or whatever, like Kurt Angle, Jerry, he was on coke, he was barely walking, Jerry. He was.
Remember he used to do this thing from the ramp? He came in the ramp.
He wasn't at his best there. They also had other stars, Jerry, like Kevin Nash. He was also finished and stuff. Yeah.
Grey-haired Nash.
They had different people, Jerry. I don't remember who there. They had Sting, Jerry. He was still, I guess, in shape then a bit there. He was better than he was now. Now he's old there, so it's not his fault or whatever.
It is his fault, WJ.
I'm rambling here, Jared. This is just a discussion, Jared. A little discussion, but I think TNA at its fucking prime there, at least they had close to 2 million viewers or something like this. They got 2 million a couple times. This fed gets 1 million only a couple of times in a year and a half or however long it's been there.
I think they've hit it once or twice. I don't think they've don't think they've hit 1 million yet, mate. That's how bad the fucking show is. Every time I look at the ratings, it's 700, 800, maybe 900 if they're lucky, but
TNA, at least it felt cheaper than the WCW or something like this, but at least it felt like it was a real federation, you know? This, back when it was good, now it's just a fucking weird ass fucking art show of some sort there. Impact, but AEW, it doesn't have a feeling of being a legit major promotion to me. It's on TNT. They got Jim Ross there, but it just looks like a fucking parody of wrestling. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like it's a real major promotion, at least to me. It looks like a joke. People call it a circus and stuff like this with fucking jobbers doing acrobats or whatever. It doesn't feel like I'm watching a real major promotion. With TNA, they had real wrestlers and matches. There was a shadiness to it there, but You had viewership. You had big names on the card. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like this, it just doesn't feel real to me, Jerry.
My issue is that, like, see, whenever you hear about this, like, philosophy of fucking AEW protects their talent, right? This whole AEW protects their talent. So Rusev was in WWE, so-called got buried, despite the fact that he was in a match with John Cena, had actually a really good push at the start of it, and then eventually he fizzled out. Maybe no fault of his own, whatever it might be, but then everyone was turning around saying Rusev's going to get pushed to the moon to AEW there. He's going to get pushed to the moon. The man is in exactly the same storylines as what was happening in WWE. He was in a wedding storyline at one point. He was in some joke. He pretty much, he's Rusev with blonde hair, and he looks like a joke. They've actually buried Rusev more in AEW than they did in WWE. At least in WWE, they presented him as some type of threat, you know, to a certain degree. But if you look at what he's doing in AEW, it's a complete disgrace. So this philosophy that AEW protects their talent, also this whole thing that AEW is for the people. AEW is for the elite. You know, the fucking Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, all these guys. It's for them. It's not for all the other talent. And I'm telling you now, and you can clip this, you can post this in 10 years' time. I guarantee you that there will be backstage incidents between the elite and some of these other guys. Because if you look at everything that the Young Bucks have done, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, these guys look strong, right? But these guys are producers of the show. Whenever we walked into AEW, WJ, didn't they say that they were going to push younger talent up and they were going to bring them up to the table? The only people that they brought is Darby Allin, who pretty much is a skeleton juggalo wannabe who has absolutely nothing to contribute. He did like a little skateboard thing that was kind of cool, but that's the only thing he's done cool. When I see him, he just looks like those weirdo people with face paint. Oh, he's got face paint. That just because you wear face paint, that doesn't automatically make you a badass. Sting in WCW was a badass. I like Sting in WCW. Darby Allin is just some frat boy nerd. That's what it is. So this philosophy that people are saying that they build up stars. What stars? What stars have they truly built up? Chris Jericho was a world champion. This guy's like 50 odds, but people still take the piss out of Goldberg and say that he shouldn't be in it, even though fucking Sting is in there and fucking Chris Jericho.
Well, they're complaining about Edge, 47 years old, and Chris Jericho was 50 years old, and he's the first champ, and they praised him, right?
It's ridiculous, and for me, like, I watched some of the matches, and I'll be honest, like, especially Young Bucks, the Young Bucks need to go back to basic wrestling school. I literally been watching, and I remember the unsafe environment, as they say, the referees are terrible. The lady referee in there is the worst referee I've ever seen. She tries to make herself look like a talent. I've never seen it before. Have you seen it, WJ? Where they do
the way
move?
She moves around and the body language bullshit she's trying to convey there. Whatever the fuck is, she looks like a fucking goof out there. She's a big fucking goofball out there. Yeah, it takes away from the match. You know what I mean?
It's just ridiculous.
Maybe that's a good thing when you watch AEW, to be taken away from the match, because
referees, moreover.
Referees more entertaining than the wrestling, sadly. But going back to what you said about Rusev, like with Rusev in WWE, Rusev was built up as a top heel. He had Lana back when Lana was doing good promos, stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they built an image for him, you know what I mean? And you could believe that Rusev there was a little chance he might have defeated Cena when they had big matches, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in WWE, Rusev has big, high-profile matches against Cena, a guy that's now in Hollywood or whatever. One of the biggest stars of the show, well, the biggest star when he was wrestling Rusev or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And in AEW, he's the sidekick of an unknown jobber called Kip Sabian. Who the fuck is this Kip Sabian? And why would Rusev be second fiddle to this guy? It makes no fucking sense. So the whole thing that they fucking push the wrestlers more. Sean Spears is the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they push John Moxley or Dean Ambrose, but WWE was already pushing him. They didn't make him act like Steve Austin, like AEW tries to do. They had their own original stuff for him, and he won world titles there. But like Steve Austin said, he wasn't giving me anything, Jerry. Like Steve said, show me something. And he didn't live up to his hype, Dean Ambrose. But WWE still put the world title on him multiple times or whatever, I think there.
Mm-hmm.
But so he was already a world champ. Who did they push so greatly that WWE didn't push? If anything, a lot of these guys got downgrades or whatever. Like they give creative freedom. Like, so is that the big creative freedom? Come out, let Rusev ruin his serious wrestler image or whatever? Make him look like a goof with the video game stuff? Or like, is that the big creative that every wrestler has a fetish for video games? Like, where's the big fucking storytelling? Where's the great all of that? We'll get into these things there, but so far I'm not seeing it, Jerry. And like you said, the thing that they're there for the wrestlers and they're there for the people, they're there for the fucking money, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
Okay, people had complaints against WWE. They wanted stuff from WWE, and these guys just show up. Hey, we're going to do all the stuff you want from WWE. Basically, we're just going to rip them off there. Mm-hmm. Here's you guys want No Mercy? Well, we're coming out with a game that's a rip-off of No Mercy. You guys wanted GM mode? We're giving you GM mode. You know what I mean? You wanted WCW. We pretend to be WCW. We got Tony Schiavone. We're on TNT. We're straight up stealing pay-per-view names and stuff like that to try to make ourselves look like we're fucking WCW. We even went and got Sting. He's almost walking with a cane, Jerry, but they went and got him. You guys want WCW? Well, we're going to give you a shitty rip-off version of it. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. Oh, you guys hate WWE? Well, watch our product. We hate them too. Look, we bash them on every show because we're petty and that's the only way we can be relevant or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You guys want fucking Matt Hardy? Well, here he is. WWE didn't let him wrestle anymore, even though he can't walk there. But we're going to let him wrestle. We almost crippled him there, but we're giving him creative freedom. Look, he does like 50 different characters in one promo, which fucking makes him look like a retard or whatever. But they got creative freedom, Jerry. Well, you know what I mean?
Look at what they've done with Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is a perfect example. Matt Hardy, when he was in WWE, was amazing in the Hardy Boys. When he was solo, he was trash, right? He went to TNA. the only one good saving grace in like the so-called modern era of TNA. Matt Hardy did amazing. Absolutely fantastic. I fucking loved his matches. It was hilarious, right? What does AEW do? What do
They
they
completely botched it. Like, it's not the same Broken Matt. Broken Matt had the wrestling world talking to the point that WWE signed him and all this, right?
And they fucked up as well with him, so we just want to point that out. But
we're
AEW
not defending WWE in this video, right? These guys, it's always, what about WWE? Yes, we fully acknowledge that they suck a lot of the time, yet they're better than AEW, folks. That's my strong belief, without a doubt. Without a fucking doubt. That's my opinion. That's right. But yes, Matt Hardy, Jerry. Basically, TNA took him and brought him back. They made him a bigger star than he was for a very good while. And, AEW, they have the same guy. He apparently has creative freedom. And somehow they made the broken gimmick look shittier with this whole Damascus stuff or whatever. And, all kind of fucking shitty characters. He's doing Matt Hardy V1, Matt Hardy 2001, Matt Hardy this and that. Like, just stick to one single character or whatever. You know what I mean? But obviously, the point you made, AEW ain't doing anything great with Matt Hardy. Like, putting him with Private Party, what the fuck did this accomplish? And I'm looking at the comments there. Somebody wrote, Matt Hardy, please retire. Well, WWE wanted him to retire, but they wanted to give him a backstage job because that's what happens. Like, Hurricane is Matt Hardy's good friend or whatever. Like, he was working backstage, and that happens. After a while, they got to let go, and it's time for younger guys, right? WWE just wanted to take Hardy, bring him backstage, maybe use his mind, his ideas, teach the young wrestlers, but apparently that wasn't good enough for Hardy. He still wants to be a star, even though he can't walk or whatever. But also, with this whole thing of AEW putting themselves as the hero or whatever, there was stuff people say WWE is racist or whatever. So they show up, we're all inclusive, It's always like there's a complaint against WWE and they claim to do the opposite or to be fucking better at it or whatever. WWE doesn't treat tag teams with respect. We're going to do it better. We love tag teams. So then you watch a show and there's like 35 tag teams on the same show. Basically, there's too many fucking people on this roster.
Yeah, way too many.
They have a 2-hour show. They hired a bunch of people. So then when you watch a show, it's like 5 tag team matches and a one-on-one match once in a while, There's too many people, too many tag teams. It's like you have like fucking 15 groups of 3 men kind of shit, like 30 tag teams. It's like, what the fuck? Plus, they're bringing in a bunch of wrestlers from other promotions. Like, when the fuck can you get just regular one-on-one matches like Cesaro against Daniel Bryan on SmackDown? That's a good match between 2 indie-esque wrestlers. They have an indie-esque match because they're both known as indie guys or whatever. But it's good wrestling. It's selling. They sell. Not only do they do athletic stuff, but they sell and there's perfect timing and shit like this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at AEW's wrestling matches, and it's not like that. It's not good timing. It's full of fucking botches, for fuck's sakes, all the time. Yeah.
These wrestling purists do my fucking head in because they're all like, we care about the purity of wrestling, but when it actually comes to the actual fabric of wrestling, AEW is a botch fest. Like a complete fucking botch fest. The referee botches. I remember I showed you the video before, the referee botching, and you might say that's one incident. Patrick on the Wrestling Juggernauts has actually pointed this out, that this happens every week with a referee where he botches constantly. These people complete botching and stuff. I want to make a point afterwards. I don't know if you're going to say anything else there, WJ, but I want to talk about Cody Rhodes because there's a fucking lot I got to say about that asshole. There's a lot I got to say about him.
The matches are very bad. Like, WWE might not have as many head bumps, but WWE, it's guys with real timing. They're selling, they're wrestling. It looks like a normal wrestling match. AEW, it's guys who look like they're fucking 18 years old, broomstick man. They're in running shoes and shorts doing flips. Like,
fucking shorts.
It's full of fucking botches almost in every match. The wrestlers, they look slow to execute the moves. Like, you know, like in WWE, sometimes the women are going to look slower than the men. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When it's like not people like Sasha Banks and Charlotte, but like sometimes the women who aren't as crisp in the ring, they're going to be slower, stuff like that. Well, in AEW, the men are fucking slower like that, for fuck's sakes. Not everybody, of course, there. But like a lot of the matches, most matches are shitty. You know, it's always tag team match with flips and fucking over-the-top matches. Like on SmackDown, somebody, I think it was Apollo Crews who hit a moonsault to the outside in the triple threat. Okay? He does one moonsault because he's an aerial guy, Apollo Crews or whatever. He does one moonsault. That's it. He doesn't do a moonsault, then run to the other side, do another moonsault, and then run back, and then jump to the outside. Then the other guy runs in and jumps, and then the other two guys jump into a pile of guys. And then 2 seconds later, they're still jumping and flipping. Like, after a while, it's fucking just acrobatics. It's like watching a bunch of gymnasts just running around doing flips. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
It's just like a group of gymnasts, these tag team match, like 4 or 5 gymnasts doing training or something, running, jumping all over, doing different flips. And that's all it is. Some of these matches, the tag team ones, like the Young Bucks, it's just constant running, jumping, and flipping. It's not like a real match where they're actually wrestling and selling. And a lot of matches are cheap quality, like a guy like Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston's been putting on the best matches recently. Why? Because it's a one-on-one match.
Exactly.
The past 2 weeks. You get a one-on-one match, so it seems better than what it actually is. But it's really like cheap TNA style wrestling with a lot of these guys. And then you get Kenny Omega, right, who can have a good match, apparently. But really, it's all a bunch of bullshit, too, there that you have to be an indie fan to mark out to. Like, why would I care if he does knee strikes Oh, this is a callback from the knee strike he did against Kenta in DDT Japan Wrestling. Why would I give a fuck about that? Like I'm just watching a match and it's like fucking, it's not that good.
Mm-hmm.
For
100%.
One Wing Angel, the move isn't even a cool move that much, or it just looks like a basic move. I'm not that impressed with it. A basic finish, a bunch of knee strikes, and trying to wrestle like a Japanese wrestler. Is that the big thing there, that he's white and he wrestles the style of Japanese mixed with a bunch of fucking flamingo tap dancing or something, like the goofy finger pointing, like if you're a fucking big mark for New Japan, oh my God, he's wrestling like a Japanese wrestler. But if you don't view Japanese wrestling style as a masturbation be all end all of wrestling, then why would you give a flying fuck if he's doing rapid German suplex? It's not like and this fucking guy does more German suplex than Brock Lesnar, for God's sake.
Yeah.
They complain when Brock does it, but when he does it, he's the greatest wrestler of all time. Give me a fucking break there.
100%. My whole thing. And
go to your Cody Rhodes stuff you wanted to discuss, Jerry.
Well, before I do, I actually watched the Smarkbusters video on Vince Russo, which, by the way, check it out. It's fucking amazing. So shout out to those guys. They made a very
shout out. Thanks, boys, for the shout out or whatever there.
100%. And I watched their video and they made a really great fucking point. If you look at wrestling at its fucking pinnacle, if you look at it at its absolute fucking peak, the mid-card guys had their own personality. Okay, they had their own personality. They knew that pretty much it was their kind of who they were, notched up to 100. So the person would sit down and talk to them and say, "What would you like to do?" With AEW, it's essentially one of two things: you're either a demon, you're some skinny anorexic twink that's in AEW. You do flips. And you occasionally do one promo where people fake pretend that you're a great promo artist. Okay? That's the entirety of AEW. They have nothing to add.
Or also the big one, you wrestled in Japan. Dave Meltzer saw you wrestle in Japan, therefore you're a mega star, even though you're not in reality.
And let's list all, let's just say you list all the AEW people. Line them all up in a row. All of them either have multicolored hair, they all look the fucking same, there's no individuality. It's like as if you went to WWE 2K20, hit the creative generator, and it popped out these people. There's no individuality. Now, WWE suffers from this as well, but this is a problem with wrestling that I've been saying. You can't build stars from, because essentially wrestling needs mid-cards to step it up to then bring it to the main event. There's nobody in AEW, in my opinion, in the mid-card that can bring it up. But the problem is, and it brings me to my next segment, WJ, who's the top guy in the mid-card? Cody Rhodes. A man that I believe is the biggest goddamn hypocrite in professional wrestling history. Let's cast our eyes back a few years ago, WJ, when Cody Rhodes originally left WWE. And when he went to Twitter, he was praising WWE. People forget this. He called out Slag Daddy, if you remember, WJ. He called him out because Slag Daddy said Cody Rhodes is a great person, but he
accused Slag Daddy of bashing gays, which didn't even happen. And even though it was presented with evidence that he didn't, Cody just kept repeating it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very dishonest, Cody Rhodes, for a lot of stuff.
Exactly. And the thing is that Slag Daddy actually said that he was being a politician because he wasn't going at WWE, bashing them. He was actually reserved, actually praising them. Okay. Now, bear in mind, this is Cody Rhodes, a guy who wouldn't say anything bad about WWE. Then all of a sudden he gets Tony Khan, him and Kenny Omega, con a billionaire's son, so then they can make up a wrestling organization. Every single time Cody Rhodes is in the limelight, he's bashing either Triple H or the WWE. In Cody Rhodes' debut, which I liked the first show of AEW. I liked the actual first show. It was actually pretty solid. There was a few tag matches. The singles matches I actually enjoyed. I did actually like the Cody Rhodes Goldust match. But my issue is that Cody Rhodes wants to be an individual. He goes, this is his first fucking entrance into the AEW stratosphere. He's breaking a fucking throne with a sledgehammer. Okay? Cringe galore. Absolute cringe galore. Personally, for me, I thought it was completely fucking cringy. And since then, he was like bashing Roman Reigns for steroid abuse. He's been like doing all this. Now, you have to bear in mind, this man is a hypocrite. This man literally a few years ago was praising WWE when he left. They done amazing for me. I really enjoyed them. I absolutely loved them. Absolutely amazing. Then a few years later, he does a complete 180 and bashes everybody. This man is on Twitter talking trash about everybody, but literally a few years ago, he was praising WWE. Now, is he saying that because he's in this company and he's got a comfy seat? No, because I'm telling you now, if AEW...
That's how he makes his money, because nobody would give a shit about him if it wasn't for his little fights with WWE. They didn't push me. They took my name, and then he gets support from the indie fans. It's the same gimmick. They all do the same thing. Oh, they're taking Dad's ideas. Dad was paid to come up with content for a company, and McMahon now owns that company along with its content. Mm-hmm. It's not like Dad's ideas belong to Cody or whatever. You know what I mean?
No.
But go ahead, Jerry.
But these promos that Cody Rhodes does, I find them, like, you're the bear man, this man has more freedom than anyone else on the roster, right? And what does he do? He constantly talks about his father. And I understand that. He wants to talk about his father.
To garner sympathy and to try to legitimize himself. Oh, his dad had a lot of ideas. Cody's going to have ideas like his dad. Remember, they would say this at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's all bullshit. It's not even him booking. I think he only books himself, which is why he's booked as a star.
and wasn't this guy like his father was booking in NXT? It wasn't like they're getting on as if like his father wasn't trapped by WWE. Like this man, like they gave this man a fucking job in fucking NXT, and actually, he did an excellent job in NXT. Although Regal did a good job as well, but like it's just I just find the whole thing ridiculous. And I just want to say this: you know that girl on Cinema? What you call her? Girl in Cinema something? Is that her name? I forget her name.
Know.
She made a very excellent fucking point. An amazing fucking point about Cody Rhodes and his wife. These two motherfuckers will not shove down their relationship more in that show than I've ever seen in my entire life. Even their baby reveal was an announcement. Like
on the show?
On the show. And it wasn't like they pointed the camera and Cody Rhodes is in a suit. He's with his dog.
Even the fucking dog got a push, Jerry, for fuck's sake. Like, why would Cody Rhodes even be placed in this fucking like Triple H or Eric Bischoff position? Is it because he has any kind of fucking knowledge to be in that role? No, it's because he's a good bullshitter. That's why, Jer. He's a good politician. He even wants to run as a politician because he's a good liar. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Oh, we want to give fucking, we're going to make every wrestler an employee. We're going to treat them better than WWE. Oh, well, guess what, guys? It's better if they're not employee guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have sports-based presentation. Oh, well, I was just talking about myself. as a sports-based presentation. Apparently him just fucking booking himself as the star every week is sports. I don't know. Like this whole thing of how AEW puts over wrestlers there, how they create stars. Basically, it's a jobber having a match with Cody Rhodes. And then apparently the wrestler that he wrestles is a big star. You know what I mean? Darby Allin had a match with Cody Rhodes. Oh, he's a star now. So Sammy Guevara had a match with Cody Rhodes. Oh, he's a big star. You notice a trend with that too. It's Cody wrestling a skinnier guy. That way he gets to look like a big buff wrestler. Like even though Cody is a midget compared to a Goldberg or a McIntyre or Triple H, but when he always wrestles a skinny guy like Peter Avalon a couple weeks ago that's fucking 90 pounds, then he gets to look like a star. He also beat a couple of big guy wrestlers. And like the people say online, he completely derailed and destroyed the push of these guys like Lance Archer or whatever. But most of the time he wrestles a jobber, and apparently that puts the jobbers over. And these fans, they just play along with this. Oh, yeah, Orange is a big star now, guys.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just trying to help the company. You know what I mean? Yeah. After a while, these fans are going to get fucking tired of just lying to themselves. And the regular non-psychotic fans are going to start leaving, I would assume, there. Because like I saw some guys recently, because Peter Avalon, the librarian, wrestled Cody Rhodes. Oh, this guy could be a main eventer. The fans, the guy's a complete joke character. He's like 110 pounds. Fuck. Because he wrestles Cody Rhodes, these fans in AEW, oh, this guy could be a star. It's a fucking joke.
It's fucking ridiculous. Like
Tony Khan ain't putting anybody over. Like a couple of guys appear on TV, they have a match with Cody, and the fans claim that they're stars just to try to spite WWE. Oh, we got stars too. Look, there's Orange Cassidy, and we have at the beginning, they were saying that Shawn Spears was a star. You know what I mean? Darby Allin, you're going to be a star.
And like the fact that they're presenting Darby Allin as an equal to Sting is just ridiculous to me. Like, this guy is not equal to Sting. I'm sorry, Sting, whoever's opinion is on Sting, I like Sting, but he is not on par with Darby Allin. Darby Allin is what does he weigh? Like,
he would be on 205 Live or
exactly, like that's the thing. These people, I weigh heavier than most of these wrestlers. That's the crazy thing. This is what's completely mental.
Like, can you imagine Darby Allin in the ring with Roman Reigns and then Darby Allin winning the belt? Can you imagine this?
No.
Well, apparently in AEW, the fans, they think he should be a world champ. That's what a real world champ is supposed to look like Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can have a smaller champion like an Eddie Guerrero. Eddie wasn't a big guy, but he was built. Okay, Eddie had the charisma. Eddie can cut promos. Eddie was a fucking god compared to anyone in AEW or whatever. You know, Jericho, he's up there too, but like anybody else there, they don't even come close to Eddie's league, you know? And Eddie Guerrero was a world champ, you know, but Darby Allin, he ain't an Eddie Guerrero. He's about the half of Eddie's size or something. You know what I mean? Like just a little goof who can't barely talk there. He's supposed to be some kind of edgy gothic guy with a skateboard, I guess, because he's dressed in black and he has half his face painted. They make him act like Sting, I guess, but really, like, this guy ain't a star. But if you ask the AEW fans, they think Darby Allin would be a world champ. Again, like, not everybody respects Drew McIntyre as the champ. But who would you book as the champ? Would you book McIntyre or Darby Allin as the world champ? For fuck's sakes, you know what I mean? But yeah, like, it's a joke fed. Everything that they fucking claim, most of it is bullshit. They're creating stars. They're treating wrestlers better. They're giving them creative freedom. Maybe wrestlers don't need that much freedom. You know what I mean? That's like saying that every football player should be their own coach. You know, in sports, you have the coach. You have the owner. You have the coach. It's not the owner calling the shots, making the plays. They hire experts to call the plays, which is what Tony Khan should do because he doesn't know how to book. Tony Khan, the owner, should hire experts that could do the booking. You know, and the wrestlers, like the athletes, are supposed to listen to what they're told. You can't have every wrestler trying to book his own storyline and fucking, then it doesn't make sense anymore. Then you get TNA or you get AEW or whatever. Looking at the comments there. Retire as a wrestling promotion, AEW. Myself personally, like, I don't want it to die. I'm not like back in the day when I would watch TNA and talk shit about TNA, I would say, oh, TNA needs to die there, whatever. That would get a rise out of TNA fans there. It's not like I really am going to go fucking sit there and wish that the company would die. AEW fans are like this, though, in real life. They want Vince McMahon to die.
Yeah, there's
publicly on their Twitter and Facebook. Oh, Vince McMahon needs to die so Chad Gable can be champion. Imagine you're a wrestling fan and you want the greatest wrestling promoter of all time to die. Imagine that there. Imagine how ridiculous this is.
These people are mental. Like, these people are just like, and they all, like, see all these AEW fans, they all look the fucking same. They have the multicolored hair. They got the fucking nose rings and everything. They all look the fucking same. Like, that's the thing. Like, these AEW fans are just so hell-bent on just, like this absolute hatred for WWE, which we understand. WWE is a shit show. It's most of the time. You know, we're not even going to say some of the time. Like, most of the time, it's a complete shit show. But this bias, now I don't know, like, we mentioned this before, WJ, but the actual AEW paid off the dirt sheets. They paid off these people. They gave them gifts, champagne. They gave them like a whole box set and everything, like actual individual dirt sheets to give a positive review on AEW.
I'll be back in 2 minutes, Jer.
No problem. Oh, your camera's on there.
Technical difficulties, Jer.
Do you want me to mute you?
No, it's okay.
All right, sweet. But like, the thing is with Cody Rhodes, and this is my main problem with Cody Rhodes, is that he's such an absolute, just a hypocrite. Him and his wife are just forced upon us. I didn't like it when Triple H and Stephanie did it. Like, back in the Attitude Era, it made sense. It was actually cool, like the feud between them and Mick Foley. But see, even the authority thing that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon did, it was forced, okay? And I bashed that. but I would look like a hypocrite if I bashed that. And even though Triple H and Stephanie are doing what they did a lot of years ago, Cody Rhodes and his wife are doing exactly the same thing. This forced kind of like, and then I don't know what it is, but it's like his wife, for example, puts herself forward against some of the women in that division. So there's women in there that I believe that some of them are actually legitimately talented, but they're being overshadowed by Cody Rhodes' wife to the point where they're cutting a promo. Cody Rhodes' wife comes in front of the camera and going, like in front of everybody. And it ruins the women's division. Like there was a female wrestler. It was her debut. And her debut was she was doing a spa treatment with Tony Schiavone, which you could have done that like once, but they're not doing anything with it. Like this women division, they bring a bunch of Asians over and present them as if people know who they are. Like, look, this is the problem with the indies. And this is my issue. You can't just pull people from New Japan and say, you know who they are. You can't do that. You just can't do that. You can't pull people from another organization that 90% of the American audience don't know, grab them, throw them on the roster and say, you know who they are, don't you? No, we don't. That's the problem with this roster. There is people in there that we legitimately don't know. Most of us have full-time jobs. We can't watch wrestling for 10 fucking hours a week. Never mind all of this. The amount of wrestling you have to watch. But you have to know who this one person is. It's just ridiculous. And that's the problem with AEW. These people, like this whole kind of philosophy that people have, that you have to know who this person is. No, tell me who this person is. Present it like a character. Provide them like a television show. That's why wrestling works best as a television show. It doesn't work with this stupid indie mentality that you gotta have indie people. We expect I don't know who these people are. And I'm a wrestling fan. Could you imagine how a fucking casual fan, WJ, is looking at this? Could you imagine how a casual fan is watching this and saying, who are these people? You know what I mean? I went on a tangent there.
It's good, Jan.
I apologize. But bit of the old school Jerry there, Jan. but that's my problem is that AEW, they will get like a bunch of people, WJ. They will get a bunch of people, throw them on the roster and say, you know who this person is. And then when you write in the comments of any of these like wrestling news sites or whatever it is, who is that? You're not a real wrestling fan. You don't know who this is. I work a full-time job. Some of us work 11 hours a day. Some of us work our asses off. We can't watch wrestling 24/7 like the rest of these neckbeards and virgins can, okay? We can't watch, we can barely watch 2 or 3 hours of wrestling a week.
Well, these guys, they claim to watch every Fed, basically, and not just New Japan. Now they have to watch Stardust, which is New Japan's female company kind of deal. Like Ring of Honor had like a separate group for women, I believe there. Well, in Japan, it's like that now. It's Stardom, which is where Kenny is getting all these women from or whatever. So now these fans, they claim to watch fucking Stardom. So if you want to fit in with these AEW fans or whatever, you would have to be watching New Japan. You have to watch Stardom. But these fans, they claim to watch multiple Japanese feds. They claim to watch a whole bunch of other feds. You would have to watch like 20 hours a week of wrestling at least. More than that. If they actually watched all the feds they claim to watch. Basically, you can't work if you watch what they claim to watch. You can't have a fucking social life of any sort. How can they have a woman in their life if they spend 8 hours a day watching Mexican wrestling? Oh, I watch AAA. It's the Trios Championship. I'm so special. I watch CMLL or whatever. Like, who has the time to watch all of this fucking garbage? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like the whole thing of AEW better than WWE, it's like saying like I'm no longer gonna watch the NFL. NFL isn't football, it's some kind of entertainment show. They're tyrants. They're putting all the other football feds out of business or whatever. They're the only game in town. Corporate tyrants. From now on, I'm going to only watch XFL. And I'm going to claim that the XFL is better than the NFL. That's what they're doing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Natural.
The whole thing is ridiculous to try to act like the XFL would be bigger, better than NFL or whatever. That's how they try to act. You know what I mean?
I ain't gonna watch the national curling team, WJ. I'm gonna watch the low division of the curling team, okay? Like
so it's like saying you're not a real football fan because you watch NFL. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I watch the fucking the Japanese football league, so I'm more knowledgeable than you. No, you're just more obsessed. You're a bigger loser with a lot more time on your hands or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck feels the need to have to act like they know everything about a wrestling company in Japan? Who fucking... And the way it works with them, Jerry, anybody that's wrestling in the independents, they claim it's better than WWE. Okay, so to answer your question, they see a wrestler, they're going to watch 2-3 matches on YouTube of the wrestler, and then they're going to write, hey, I don't know much about Andrew Gibson on AEW Dark, but hey, I'm getting into this guy. I'm going to look at some of his matches. And then 3 days later, they're writing about how Andrew Gibson is a star and he's better than Steve Austin. And they'll put a picture of Andrew Gibson is better than Undertaker. And McMahon never pushed Andrew. He should have been a star, and that's it. Then they're apparently big fans. But you and I, we look at this, it's like, who the fuck's this jobber Andrew Gibson? Like some guy out of nowhere, Danny Limelight, a midget with just a bland-looking midget guy. He's wrestling in the main event against Kenny Omega in the tag team match. Who the fuck is he? Imagine some guy you'd never seen before. His name is Dave Carson. He wrestles once on NXT, then he's in the tag team match against Roman Reigns. Can you imagine that? Wouldn't we be like, who the fuck is this guy? How the fuck is he wrestling Roman Reigns? A complete unknown. But that's what they do. They grab a complete unknown Danny Limelight, and he's wrestling the world champ in the main event. And it's his first time on the show, Jerry. Who the fuck is he? Why is he there? But then what they say, now they're writing online about how Danny Limelight is a star. No, he's not. He hasn't even been on Dynamite since. He just appeared the first time, a midget, wrestles the world champ in the main event. You never see him again after this. What a fucking joke.
The Eddie Kingston guy, for example, is one of the guys who I literally cannot stand. It's all the time with these AEWs where when a wrestler rants, okay, when a wrestler has about 10 minutes of airtime and goes, and this is the business that I live in. This is what it's real. And whenever these wrestlers do this, and Eddie Kingston does, like, Eddie Kingston's promos are nothing special. I'm sorry.
He talks about his mother for sympathy, but he's supposed to be a heel. What the fuck are you exactly doing?
And the thing is that he will do these, like, passionate promos, and Mick Foley did this like in his later career, and I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. And Eddie Kingston's doing it where he's like, I'm passionate about everything, and this is what I live for. And then these people just do this.
He cut a promo on the Cookie, apparently, on their so-called funny show, which is very, very cheap and unfunny, by the way. He cut a promo on the Cookie, and apparently he was a big star. According to these fans, he proved he was a great promo cutter by cutting a fucking promo on the Cookie. Can you imagine that? That's the thing. These fans, they just run with anything to try to help the company out of spite. It's retarded what they do. Not only this, they buy T-shirts of, hey, I just bought 5 T-shirts of Andrew Gibson. They only saw him wrestle once, and they watched 3 of his matches on YouTube. Why are they buying his T-shirts? You know? It makes no sense that there. It's crazy behavior.
It's like, it's completely mental, and like, I just feel as if like wrestling fans don't know what a real wrestling star is. A real wrestling star is both an alpha female or an alpha male that presents themselves as a badass. They've had a storyline that's been built up over a year or so, where they're from the mid card and they build themselves up to the top. They've had great feuds, consistently great feuds, where people enjoy it, and then they eventually build themselves up to the main event. AEW will see some guy from Japan or some, like, he's, especially like even the UK, like they bring these people in from the UK going, you should know who this is. I'm like, I don't know who this is. And they put them in the main event, and then they're presented as if they're a legitimate threat. It's essentially like there's no, like, if you're going to do that, if you're going to pull any of these guys from other promotions to put them in a main event, build a story for at least a month or 2 to present why this person is a threat. It's called basic storytelling. Everything has a beginning, middle, and end. Basic storytelling. Wrestling's no different. Wrestling is not excluded. People thinking that, oh, it's sports entertainment or whatever the fuck it is, because it's some element of sport, it's exempt from this law. It isn't. Wrestling is storytelling. Beginning, middle, end. That's how a wrestling show is presented. WWE doesn't do it either. 110% WWE don't do it either, because I'm sick of that shit as well, what they're doing. AEW most certainly doesn't do it, because what they do is that they grab these random people, throw them in, and go, like him. But you should like him. What? And then these people, like some of these main eventers, they get like 25 retweets. They barely get any promotion on Twitter either. Like some of these wrestlers barely have any followers.
I don't know if you've seen this girl, Abaddon. She's like a fat zombie girl with like a very fucked up zombie face. And according to all these fans, she's super hot. It's like, what? Like, and they all write that she's extremely hot. She's fucking hideous, for God's sake. Maybe she's prettier without the makeup. I don't know. But good God, and they're a bunch of weird people, man. Like big time. They're fucking weird. But like what you were saying earlier about AEW and news sites or whatever, half of this is fueled by Dave Meltzer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like when AEW, before they even had a show, before they had an announcement, before any of that, Dave Meltzer was advertising them. Oh, there's a company called AEW who just applied for a trademark. He kept advertising that AEW applied for a trademark. Obviously, he was in on this thing from the beginning.
I think he's an investor as well because,
Well,
like, even
it's all his friends, right, that are doing this. And from the beginning, he was advertising them. You know what I mean? And he's known for hating WWE. He was even in court, maybe more than once back in the day to try to get WWE shut down. That's at the level he's gone to him there with his WWE hatred, Meltzer, right? So he's been in on this thing since the beginning. They had to speak to him because he was advertising them before it was even fucking a Fed. Back when it was a trademark, he was advertising it. So, and then since then, all he's done is hyper praise this Fed and come out with every kind of fucking tactic to bring down McMahon ever since. You know, Vince McMahon is taking over NXT. You gotta hate NXT. All of these fans were watching NXT before. The Fed is catered to them. You have the main roster, and then you have NXT, which is pretty much an indie show that's owned by WWE. But like they had so much false propaganda against NXT itself. Oh, they're trying to counter program. NXT was already on Wednesday night. If anybody's counter programming, it's AEW. Fuck. But according to Meltzer and AEW themselves, oh no, we were here first somehow. It was on the network, so it's still fucking. They were still there on Wednesday night. Them progressing to TV on Wednesday night is a natural step. They were already doing it Wednesday, for fuck's sake. Oh no, they're counter programming. They're villains. They want to hurt the wrestlers. They're racist. Cody is all inclusive.
Can I stop you there? There's some fucking idiot that's made like 100 profiles on this, like calling me like racist, even though nothing racist was said on this. So if you are seeing this on the chat where people, some idiots like making like 100 profiles saying I'm racist, fucking absolute fucking moron. Apparently he's calling me racist. Apparently, WJ. I don't know if you've seen that in the chat or not.
It's okay, Jared. It's
fucking idiots, like.
It is what it is, Jared. The YWC, Jared. You have all kind of cats, Jared. Doing all kind of cat-like things, Jared. All we can do is talk wrestling, Jared. We're not here for drama or feuds with fucking freaks or whatever. There, we're here to talk wrestling, Jared.
It's all about the wrestling, like. But what was I going to say there? But like AEW to me is just a ridiculous, like just promotion where they're just awful. They're just like completely and utterly awful. Like I feel as if like at the start I actually liked it. Like the very first pay-per-view I really liked. Like the whole like Cody Rhodes Goldust match I absolutely loved. And I thought if they continue to do that, that might be great. But then they started like doing what they did like in their fucking Ring of Honor stuff. They just warped the whole thing together and just shoved it. And it just completely and utterly ridiculous. And I just find the company just really an absolute ridiculous company, in my opinion, like, you know.
I think everything is bad. The storylines, apparently McMahon is bad at stories, so they fake praise Tony Khan stories. What good story have they actually done? Like, not a single one that I can think of. Like, they're good at long-term storytelling. Which long-term story have we seen there? Cody Rhodes pretending to be a star or whatever. Like Kenny gets beat by Dean Ambrose and he comes back and wins a year later. Okay, well, was there actually like a year-long build to this? No. Kenny was wrestling in a tag team for a year. And then he just randomly fought for the belt right away and won it against Ambrose. So Kenny gets beat by Ambrose. They don't talk about anything for a full year. The tag team breaks up and he just fights Ambrose right away and wins the belt. Is that really long-term storytelling? Where's the actual story part in there? There's none. You know what I mean? And then they claim, oh, Hangman Page is going to be the guy now to beat Kenny Omega, and that's going to be long-term story. Well, what's Hangman doing? He's just in a bunch of retarded groups, one after the other. Is he going to be with Matt Hardy for 6 months in retarded trash? And then when it's time, he's just going to have a 2-week build and beat Kenny for the belt? Is that going to be the big long-term storytelling?
That's one guy who I legit is just like, I remember I seen him when he in AEW and I was like, I'll be open-minded. And the guy came in on a horse and stuff, but like his gimmick is that he's a cowboy horseman thing, right? And in any other company, this man would be a fucking lower card guy. Anywhere. But because he's good friends with like Kenny Omega and he's good friends with the rest of these guys, they quote unquote push him, but they push him not too much. And that's the problem. Like a lot of people were complaining why the Good Brothers didn't go in, like why Martin Skrull, although it looks like he's not going to win because he's a fucking weirdo. But like, apparently, like the main reason why a lot of people are saying about like Hangman is a great wrestler, I don't see anything great about him. His promos are very below average. His in-ring work, just to me, I don't think it's as good. WJ, I really, really don't think it's as good.
It's because he does a lot of flashy maneuvers with head bumps and flips and stuff. But like the positive I can say about him is that he at least looks like a wrestler. He's not a big guy, but because he's fighting midgets, he looks bigger than he actually is there.
Mm-hmm. No
you know what I mean? Like at least he looks like a wrestler and he's a bit more believable than the fucking like a lot of other guys or whatever. I can't even think of these fucking jobbers' names, Jerry. Like I would take Hangman more seriously than John Silver, let's say, or like I would take Hangman more serious than Orange Cassidy. But does that mean that Hangman should be in the conversation for World Heavyweight Champ? Absolutely not. Like these guys, like in WWE, these wrestlers, they need to get pushed first, right? Like they go through NXT, not everybody, but they go to the Performance Center, they go through NXT, they get on the main card, it takes a while. Eventually, they become world champ, right? Like back in the day, like Shawn Michaels was in WWE for a long ass time before becoming world champ, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They get to talk to a bunch of real wrestlers that were there, people backstage for years and years, being told what to do and all this. And AEW, they show up the first week, they're in the main event against Kenny, like Danny Limelight or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? There's a big difference of caliber and fucking, you know what I mean? A bunch of these guys are fucking green or whatever. They're not ready yet.
The Zami guy, for example, just like the way, what the thing with him and Matt Hardy just should not have happened. And I know accidents can happen even in WWE. Like there's like Nia Jax is a perfect example who's very untrained in WWE. And the fact that she still has a career is unbelievable. But I mean, the Zami guy, I believe his name is, with the Matt Hardy thing where he threw him against like the whole forklift thing, that was ridiculous. The guy was like injuring him. The Zami guy just isn't a good wrestler. Like he rushes a lot and injures people a lot as well. So But I'll be right back, WJ. 2 seconds. Just gonna grab another drink there.
People are talking about Killer Cross, and like if Killer Cross would appear in AEW right away, he would appear in the main event there, like fucking Kenta. He would appear in the main event. Oh, it's Killer Cross! Oh my god! Right off the bat, you know what I mean? But in WWE, like Killer Cross was in TNA before this, right? So Killer Cross needs to go to NXT to fucking learn how to be in WWE. WWE, it's not the same, right? These fans, they're going to act insulted. Oh, Killer Cross should be on the main roster. He should be fucking already the world champ or whatever, but you know, he needs to fucking learn how to wrestle the WWE style, which is the money-making style. WWE just signed $1 billion deal again with Peacock there. Like, which style really is the best style? Is it flips and landing on your head? That's good. Or is it making billions of dollars? Like, at some point, reality needs to kick in or whatever there. But like Killer Cross, he looks like a wrestler. So they're going to teach him how to wrestle properly for the cameras. They're going to work on his timing and stuff like this. Just because he was a star in TNA doesn't mean he's right away that he's equal to the WWE champ and he should be a champ the same way that he was in TNA or whatever. I'm not sure if he was the world champ there, but I know he was a big deal in TNA. But TNA is the minor leagues. You have to fucking get ready for the top of WWE, and that takes years. He's going to learn, then he goes to the main roster, then they build him up, then he gets a shot maybe for a world title. He doesn't win. 6 months later, he's in a fucking elimination chamber match. He doesn't win. Eventually, he wins the big one, and by the time he wins, he's established. He has fans by then. Then he becomes a star, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't just grab him right away and put him in the world title like they do in AEW, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I just want to thank everyone. We're actually nearly at like 70 live viewers, nearly at like maybe 100. But I want to thank everyone actually for watching this. It's actually got a lot of viewership, WJ. I don't know if you've seen there. A lot of people watching, WJ. Subscribe today.
When you speak the truth, sometimes people want to listen. If you just come on here and just say a bunch of bullshit that Kenny Omega is the greatest of all time, then you just look like a joke. You know what I mean? Yeah. Imagine all these tweets there from these people and all these vids they made saying that Kenny's better than Hogan. Imagine how retarded these people look. And eventually it's going to click to them when they fucking cool their jets there. When their fucking hard-on goes down a little bit for male indie wrestlers there. Then they're going to see how fucking retarded they look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like promos too, it's like, oh, they have creative freedom. That's better promos. The promos are shit. Chris Jericho can cut a promo, okay, but like a lot of it feels like TNA to me. Like a TNA match, they just go from one spot to the next. It feels like they're going through the motion, then they go to the finish. That's kind of how it feels in AEW, like Sting. Darby is a hoodlum. Then Darby gets up, throws his bat through the window. I'm a hoodlum. Sting, I'm a hoodlum, and then he hits the glass, and then that's the end of it. It looks like it was written by a mongoloid, the skits and the promos. The next week, Sting shows up, Team Taz appears on the Titantron. You ain't got it, Sting. And then Sting, you want to know if I still got it? Look at my eyes. Then they just put the camera in his face awkwardly. And it just makes him look like an old man. You know what I mean?
They did that with Kid as well, Like, and it didn't even work. Like, I remember when Sting, like, it was like, it was after the Joker Sting thing where he was like wearing like kind of like a reddish kind of color. It was just before he joined WWE, and they were like, "You haven't got it, Sting. Like, it's the same like."
Like Luchasaurus, I am a dinosaur, okay, guys? And you're supposed to laugh at this? You know, you know, it's not funny. It's not. It's just a big guy acting like a big goof. Millions of years ago, my people were hurt. My dinosaur people. Ha ha! You know what I mean? Dean Ambrose every week. I'm an anarchist, guys. Okay, I'm very badass. All right?
I'm crazy.
I'm a crazy guy, all right, guys?
And he does the fucking jaw thing. Like out there. Like, what do you think I'll do? I look crazy for you.
Like in Jericho, it's like he's not even taking it serious. Like, when he talks, he's cutting a promo, yeah, but like in WWE was cutting real promos. Now he just feels like he's goofing around or whatever. It's just promos to sell this merch. Hey guys, little bit of the bubbly here, guys, and that's it.
And I want to say this straight off the bat. I do think WWE did drop the ball with Sting. Like, I agree in the point where Sting, he was fucked over in WWE, I believe. Like, at least they tried to present him as something, but I don't know what the fuck that they were thinking doing the whole thing. Like, him and Seth Rollins was ridiculous. I would agree that the WWE fucked him over, but he's being fucked over even more in AEW because he's not being presented in that caliber. Like in WCW, he had the whole Crow gimmick, which is fucking fantastic, like the NWO. But Sting is best when he works by himself. He's stalking like a certain group of people, and they're trying to do this Taz group. It just comes off cheap.
Well, like Brian Cage, like when Brian Cage was feuding with Moxley, and it was Brian Cage was the main guy. Taz was his manager. It made Cage look like a bigger deal like this. But then he lost, and then it was another 3-man group. Then it became Team Taz, which kind of diminished Brian Cage. I feel like Brian Cage, I'm not saying he should have won the world title or whatever, but they still could have kept pushing him, you know what I mean, with Taz. And I don't know, I think putting him just a part of a group, he's just another member in the group, and the group is called Team Taz. Like if Taz is the star, I feel like it diminished, you know what I mean, Brian Cage. So
You got anything else to say there, WJ? I think we've pretty much said everything. Like
the fans, Jerry. Let's end it with the fans, Jerry. The worst wrestling fans of all time, Jerry. The way they act, the things they say, the fucking goofy shit they come up with. It's an embarrassment, Jerry.
It is really bad. Their fans are really, really bad. Like
they're making the rest of us look bad, Jerry. It is what it is there, but they always book Taz like he's going to wrestle again. That's the thing. It's full of old guys on the show that can't wrestle. Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard. You have more managers than wrestlers, for God's sake. You know what I mean? It's okay to have one or two, like WCW. They had Harley Race with like Vader back in the day. So it was former world champ Harley Race was managing Vader. He was cutting the promos that made Vader look legit. To have the 7-time NWA champ as his manager, but you don't. It's like they have 17 Harley Races on the show at the same time. Tully Blanchard, and he's getting involved in the wrestling. He looks like he's 70 years old. See,
Jesus, I know.
Arn Anderson, Sting, I guess he can wrestle. He shouldn't, though, but Taz.
Yeah, that's a big question. Like, should he? Like, like how medically cleared is he?
Jake the Snake.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's full of old guys on the show. Like, there's too many, fuck. But that's what happens when you have nobody on the roster, Jer. It is what it is, fuck.
Like, the thing is with AEW is that they could easily build people up, but that's what I mean. Build them up to be a main star. They're not doing that. And that's the thing with these AEW fans is that they believe that AEW is completely flawless in everything that they do. Like, some of these people won't even admit that their women's division is trash. Even some AEW fans have even admitted that their women's division is trash. They've even turned around and said that the fucking mid-card is a joke. Like, you have to build these guys up to a main event to build them presentably to a mainstream audience. Some of these guys that you see on the roster right now with AEW aren't suitable for the fucking main event or any type of mainstream media. They're not used to it. Say what you will about WWE. They've got their own fucking problems, but at least they can somewhat tap in to the casual fan. And this is the thing. The term casual fan has become a dirty word in wrestling. Why is that? Why is it someone who casually watches wrestling is a horrible person?
Because it's Dave Meltzer propaganda and indie fan propaganda.
Like, why are people labeling casual people that watch wrestling as horrible people? Like, why do you think that that's such a horrible thing because someone is a casual fan? Like, it's just ridiculous to me. And the thing is that everybody knows that we're talking complete and utter fucking sense here. But these AEW fans have just... This is the thing. These AEW fans have been told that they have been right for the last few years. And it's only been the last 2 years that people have turned around and said, no, you're wrong. And what's happened is that you've got a group of fans that have told that they're right, everything's right, everything should be like this. But then when it's presented that they're wrong, they can't take it. And that's the problem, is that you have to be open-minded when it comes to wrestling. Just like movies, just like media, no matter what it is, you have to be open-minded and say, let me see how this point of view is. AEW fans, TNA fans, as much as I've ridiculed them in the past, some of them have been open-minded to some of the stuff that we've said. And we were right. We were right with TNA. A lot of people don't give us credit for that, by the way. But me and WJ called the whole TNA thing years ago. I called out the Global Force Wrestling thing years ago. I called out the whole thing about wrestling years ago. But then these AEW fans have been told that they've been right their entire lives. And when it's eventually presented that they're wrong, they can't take it. It's the same with that whole girls' cinema person. Like, whenever she presented an argument that was against the norm, it doesn't compute with them. They don't compute that other people have different opinions. And that's a problem with wrestling, in my opinion.
For years and years and years, Jerry, it was presented like if WWE fans were online complaining, the smarks that want McMahon to die and stuff. But, now that AEW is out, all of these people are claiming to be AEW fans. And it puts a face to the enemy, you know what I mean? like for McMahon when you think about it. So like when these fans are writing all this bullshit, now it can be said, okay, it's just the fucking smart goof crowd. It's the AEW fan base trying to destroy WWE. Now, a lot of things WWE are guilty of, but there's a lot of stuff that they're not, right? The Dave Meltzer propaganda, stuff like this, but these fans, they're going to fucking, this is their indie wet dream come true. They have a Dave Meltzer federation that's powered by the indies, and they're trying to get New Japan on board, and they're all getting together. They got the propaganda going against McMahon. They're presenting their so-called superior wrestling product. And now that we can actually see it, we can see that it's a fucking shit product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like PS Power wrote in my comments a couple months ago before we opened this page. PS Power wrote to me. He said back in the day, we could only take their word for it that they were having 5-star matches in Japan and Ring of Honor, and that it was apparently better than WWE. But now that that the casuals are actually seeing this product, it's obvious that most of them have taken a pass and they're not interested in this shitty product. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It was so great with the amount of fucking publicity that they fucking gave to themselves with Meltzer and spamming every WWE post, spray painting in the subway, don't watch NXT, watch AEW. Remember that? Yeah. With all of this propaganda, and like by now every fan has seen AEW probably there. And most of them aren't interested because it's a fucking shit product. It's a bunch of midgets doing flips and botchy wrestling, overrated guys like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega who aren't real stars. Oh, in the context of Japan, they were real stars. In whose opinion? Meltzer's or whatever. Oh, he's the greatest of all time because they sold out a few Japanese shows. You think these Japanese guys were there just for Omega? Or were they there to watch the Japanese wrestlers on the card or whatever? Roman Reigns has sold out. He's main evented a lot more WrestleManias than Kenny's main evented fucking Tokyo Dome shows in Japan. So should Roman be viewed as the top guy for outselling Omega? Why would Omega be viewed as the best?
And
it's mental. It makes no sense.
And on that subject of Kenny Omega, like when he did the TNA thing, it brought up the rating slightly, but then it went down again.
Right.
So it's like this presentation that Kenny Omega is a major star.
He's not.
He's not. Like, he cannot. Look, I understand that some of you have watched this Japanese wrestling for so many years and you're obsessed with it. I get it. I understand it. But you got to realize that some of these wrestlers in AEW aren't presentable to an American or European audience, to a casual fan. It's not presentable. Kenny Omega went into TNA and the ratings went up slightly with TNA, okay? And even TNA fans got angry at Kenny Omega because he was being presented too much and that they were oversaturating the company. Okay, that's the problem. This is an issue I have with TNA. Why are they bound down to AEW? Like, shouldn't they be fucking saying, actually, our fucking champion should win. Our fucking guy should win. like, you know what I mean? But this bound down to AEW is just completely ridiculous. And if you look at like New Japan Pro Wrestling, they don't have a good relationship with the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks bashed them for a lot of years. A lot of people don't know that. Well, actually, some people know that, but But the Young Bucks, like, they bashed fucking New Japan Pro Wrestling for a lot of years. And that's why New Japan Pro Wrestling were very against working with AEW because of the Young Bucks. So this kind of, it's such a strong relationship between the two. It's not really, that's all it is. These so-called alliances are for show. That's what it is. Now, if AEW were smart, and this is personally for me, if AEW went in there, stopped acting childish, bashing other promotions, and just focused on their own thing, I think it would have been interesting to have WWE and AEW. I think it would have been interesting. But because they bashed the shit out of the company right off the gate, it doesn't make any sense. And look, fans actually do want AEW versus WWE. I completely understand that. But WWE ain't going to do that anymore when you're bashing the company just senselessly for no fucking reason. And it's just ridiculous to me. And I just want to just finish off by just saying that the AEW, see the first pay-per-view, and I said this before if people are only just watching, I actually liked their first show. I did actually legitimately like it because it felt like a real wrestling show. But they caved into these indie fans and didn't present their actual product to a casual fan. A casual fan, majority of these casual fans don't know who Kenny Omega is. I know that seems hard to believe to certain people how can anyone not know who Kenny Omega is? I know this sounds random to some of these wrestling fans, but not everybody is obsessed with wrestling like yous are.
Well, here's the deal, Jerry. For a year, they've been telling us, you just wait. The cleaner's going to show up soon.
Yeah.
Just wait. You're going to get the 5-star machine. You're going to get the best bout machine. The cleaner's coming back, baby. And when he does win the belt, it's just him having fun with his friends. Don Callis and the Good Brothers. He's just hanging out with his buddies, goofing off on television. Like, where's the so-called super mega star, the cleaner? You know what I mean? Where is this guy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a fucking joke there. They got nothing.
Shout out to the barbecue sauce, though. The legend himself, or the barbecue sauce. Shout out to him there.
So what's going to happen? Cody's going to fight a bunch of cruiserweights, and then one day it's going to be him winning the belt. Is that really going to fucking turn the wrestling world upside down? Who's next? It's going to win a damaged goods Rusev. Is he going to bring in millions of viewers, Rusev? I don't think so. Then when Dean Ambrose wins the belt again, it's going to feel old, like it's already been done, so it won't feel as big as the first time or whatever. So unless they can bring in a CM Punk or like something like Brock Lesnar, I can't see them being a serious threat or whatever to McMahon. And I can't see them succeeding as being a giant major promotion. Like, it's a bunch of jobbers. Fuck. They're overhyped by indie fans that hate McMahon. Okay, well, what does that give to me? Indie fans hate McMahon, so they want to fake praise wrestlers. But what does that do for me and you, Jerry, who aren't psychos that want McMahon to die or whatever? What does that give us? That somebody wrestled in Japan? Why should we care if you're not an indie retard like them there?
Yeah.
Why would you care? You can't, Jerry.
It's so ridiculous. It's like, and this is the thing about these fucking wrestling fans is that, they're like, this is a crazy thing. It's like, oh, you don't like New Japan Pro Wrestling? You must be racist, WJ. Like, it's just like, it's fucking ridiculous how, like, the wrestling fan went from being this fucking badass, give the fucking middle finger in the audience, have signs up and everything, to these fucking weirdo, like, I hate to use the term neckbeard because it gets overused, but these weirdo, psychotic wrestling fans that are obsessed over tribalistic, like that's the thing. It's a tribalistic mentality, and that's the thing with me and WJ. We don't have this tribalist. We there's plenty of things that we don't like about WWE.
But there's things I like about AEW too. That this video is not about that. I won't get into that. But there's some things I'm gonna like about it sometimes, right? But
yeah. But it's just the fans itself, WJ, I feel, has just like killed it. Like, these fans used to be fucking, like, they used to just share their opinions out no matter what. Like the amount of people that would go on YouTube just to share their opinions. Now they're on Twitter, like, hiding behind some anime profile picture talking about why people should like AEW. Like, that's the actual level that we've gotten to now. And these fans just can't admit that they're wrong. They just can't admit. And that's the thing. Opinions, like, if you like AEW, that's totally fine. Like, I get it. You like AEW, that's totally fine. That's up to you. But also be open to other people's opinions.
Like, AEW has a freshness to it. I'll say, like, Raw, you've been watching the same show for 30 years. You know what I mean? Well, not 30 years there, but Raw's been on TV a long time. AEW feels fresh. It was something different. There was a new major promotion, so there was a feeling of excitement, maybe a bit. But now this feeling of excitement is being replaced with an abundance of shitty, subpar tag team wrestling there, and I don't see the same thing I saw at the beginning. You know,
it's ridiculous.
It is what it is, Jerry, and I've said everything that needs to be said right now so far, Jerry.
That's a big fucking rant right there. 1 hour and 36 minutes, WJ. But we want to thank, like, actually did not think that many people would watch this, but we actually had at one point like 70 to 80 people live viewers. We have 64 right now live viewers. We're nearly at 500 subscribers, so if you could just put a subscribe on the channel, it'll be amazing. You want to put a like on it? If you don't like the video, that's totally fine. We understand. If you want to like the video, it's completely up to yourself. We're very open to all opinions, WJ, aren't we? Long as you ain't no neckbeard.
And like, real fast, somebody writes, Meltzer's trying to get the Smarks to hate Edge. Yes, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's all about trying to destroy McMahon. Like, Edge is the big star of Mania this year. It's a big comeback. He was a big, legit main eventer, Edge, back in the day. He wasn't Steve Austin, no, but he was a big star. Fuck. So for him to come back, and he has great matches with Orton when he was not injured and stuff. You know what I mean? So why hate the man just to fucking shit on McMahon because it's WWE? If Edge appeared in AEW, the same fans would fucking praise the fucking shit out of him. You know what I mean?
100%.
But if he's in AEW, he's the star of Mania this year, they gotta shit on him. Meltzer needs to put the anti-WWE spin. These indie fans, they go along with the spin. Dave Meltzer gets $10 from each of these psychotic fans or whatever. He tells them what to think. And then the propaganda goes out. Let's go, boys. Let's spread the propaganda everywhere. Like, they were writing on Twitter that Kenta is better than Edge because AEW got more views than NXT or whatever.
Holy shit.
You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to voice an opinion, but people can see that your opinion is retarded. Like, you can only hide behind the opinion excuse for so long. Like somebody might legit believe maybe that Kenta is better than Edge, but for fuck's sake, maybe it's someone who's never seen Edge and Maybe it's somebody who had sex with Kenta. I don't know who would think that, maybe. Or someone who has a big man crush on Kenta or something. For to write that he's better than Edge is just delusional. Like,
it is very delusional. Like,
you can call it an opinion, but for God's sake, like these guys, oh, every show was the best. Dynamite, how is that possible? Like the show gets worse every week almost, but these guys, it's the best show every week. They top themselves, for fuck's sakes. It's another special. They can't even get 1 million viewers this week again. They got every promotion that's not WWE getting involved. They got Sting. They got the world champ, the supposed greatest wrestler of all time, Kenny, on the show. It's another special event. They can't get more than 850,000. What a fucking joke, man. What a joke. Oh, they taught themselves yet again, guys. It's delusional, retarded. Like you said, tribalism. It's politics. Mm-hmm. It's CNN versus Fox. Dave Meltzer on one side. He's the fucking voice that fucking tells them what to think. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they just go along with whatever Meltzer says. It is what it is. Fuck. It's a fucking joke and a fucking clown shit show is what it is there. So I've said everything I need to say, Jerry.
Yeah, I've literally said everything I need to say, to be honest.
But I still feel like saying more, Jerry. That's the thing. It's I could probably go an extra 8 hours there, but
we might do another part 2. You never know.
You never know, Jerry.
Part 2, but yeah, like the whole tribalistic thing is like the main problem I have is the fans. I think the fans make the product even worse with their kind of weirdo fucking like it's like this. You're not with us. As Big Lenny would say, it's cookie cutter mentality there.
Oh, that's all they are. They're bandwagon fans. Just they all voice the same opinion that they heard from Meltzer. It's retarded. It's a joke. Imagine living your life like that you repeat what Dave Meltzer says, and you spend your days writing this stuff all over Twitter to help a billionaire make money. Because you hate McMahon. What the fuck is wrong with these people? They're stupid. Like, it is what it is, Jerry. Fuck.
It is what it is. But we might have a part 2. A lot of user asking.
We might. It's not. We might. We will, Jerry.
We will.
We will, Jerry.
Well, we'll do definitely. I think a part 2 is necessary. I think because there's just so much to talk about. Because that's the thing, like, this video was only going to be an hour. We're an hour and 42 minutes in. We haven't even scratched the surface of why this product's so bad. And that's the thing, like, it's hard to condense this in a 10-minute video. It's that bad. Like, the situation is that bad. We can't even condense it into a 10-minute video. But yes, we will 100% do a part 2. We might do some other videos and stuff like that. You know, I did the John Cena video, very popular. A lot of people, wanted to, just because my whole thing with John Cena, I'm still not a fan of him and stuff, but want to shout out the Smart Busters again. Those guys gave us a shout out a lot on their live show. If you want to know another reason why we hate AEW, watch Riley's fucking live show of AEW. He's given us a lot of shout-outs and stuff like that, so shout-out to him. And he's made a fucking amazing video about Vince Russo, presenting why Vince Russo isn't as bad as what it is. And by the way, Roddy, I sent in the video and he's seen it there. So, but yeah, I want to thank everyone for your support. We're nearly at like 20,000 fucking viewers already, WJ, in total on the channel. This is fucking mental. You know what I mean? But WJ, you want to say some final thoughts there?
The freshness is starting to come off. The new car smell is going away from AEW. You can see a lot more people are critiquing the product now.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, when Dave Meltzer, it's starting to like Meltzer's already killing his own credibility, like
Yeah.
with this stuff. A lot of stuff he said there that, like, he's made a lot of retarded comparisons that he claims are his opinions and all this. He said a lot of retarded stuff. He's killing his credibility. When this point, when this stuff becomes too undefendable, he's either going to have to turn on this Fed, start saying the truth about it, or he's going to fucking put his own fucking website through fucking suicide. You know what I mean? At some point, he'll start calling them out like he did with TNA and stuff. You know what I mean? Because this is like the indies and the indie fans' big attempt. It's like their dream of finally taking down McMahon. They tried with Ring of Honor, it was a big flop. This is the ultimate indie backed fucking Fed. It's Meltzer, it's Japan, it's Omega, all of that coming together. And they're going to fucking cry hard, Jerry, when it fails. They're going to cry fucking hard when it fails, and it will. Because all this propaganda and shit product being overpraised, and it can only go so far. You know what I mean? It can only go so far.
Gotta give. Something like you already seen. Like I seen a few pro AEW fans on my Facebook feed actually saying, like, they were actually writing saying, it's not so great. And when your own fucking core audience is saying shit, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, there's YouTube, there's children that live stream Fortnite that get over 1 million viewers, over 1 million live viewers, and AEW can't hit that.
TNA had 2 million fanboys, Jerry. 2 million strong fanboys that praised them relentlessly day in and day out. There was people that would attack me for bashing TNA. They would obsess over me. They were supposed tough guys. They were badass. And most of these guys aren't watching anymore. You know what I mean? All these fans that were going to fucking be with TNA through thick and thin, through richer for poorer, Jerry, till death do them part or whatever. 90% of these fans are gone now. You know what I mean? They have 10% of the viewership they used to have. And they had the same, they used to have the TNA street team, which were people that would go out on the streets yelling about a product called TNA that nobody knew what the fuck they were talking about.
Remember the giveaway tickets?
Talk about being dedicated fans that they would go out on the street with megaphones to try to promote Impact Wrestling. That's fucking dedication. And these fans here, a lot of them are going to walk away too, Jerry. What I'm saying. So I've said everything that I have to say, Jared. You still there? You got any comments there? Dixie Carter, LOL, better than AEW. Well, at least when Dixie ran the show, it looked more serious there. They had fucking real names on the show, and you know, like Sting was also in TNA. This already happened. Like people saying that fucking Sting is gonna beat McMahon. Sting already went to work for McMahon. You know, he couldn't beat WWE when he was in WCW. Didn't beat him in TNA. How was a Sting appearance gonna end McMahon? Like, It just doesn't make any sense. I think AEW is cursed. A pandemic happened when they just started the company. The same thing goes for every fucking company that started. Lots of people out of business because of the pandemic. And McMahon, the pandemic. McMahon has this year comes out with his biggest profit ever. This is with fans gone there. You know what I mean? Wrestling in front of no crowd. McMahon still made his biggest profit ever in the past fiscal year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like Charles wrote, Tony Khan is just wasting billions. That's pretty much it. I don't know how much money he has, but at some point he can't hire every wrestler. Plus have guys from other promotions on his show. How many guys is he paying to have like a 45-second matches on Dark? How many guys are fucking he can't have fucking he has a whole bunch of guys, they're not even on the show, they're wrestling on Dark. How many guys is he gonna waste money for to have him wrestle on Dark? The whole thing is fucking ridiculous. But if we can get a second good promotion out of it, it would have been fun. But it doesn't.
I'm not gonna lie. Like a part of me, I'll leave it till later. I'll talk about it maybe in another day. But yeah, about the whole.
Like Ringmaster Mike wrote, at some point AEW will start releasing people. Of course they have to. Are they going to save every wrestler by bringing, this guy was mistreated, we're going to save him? At some point they have to let people go, unless Khan is going to have 400 wrestlers under contract for a 2-hour show. At some point they're going to have to let wrestlers go. And what are they going to say? Our AEW fans, they let Sean Spears go, but you know what? Spears, at some point they're going to justify all the release. They're going to hate McMahon. They're going to try to justify every release while simultaneously hating McMahon's releases. But at some point, they're going to release wrestlers that they like. Oh, how dare you get rid of Johnny Hungy, John Silver, and then they lose a fan. Oh, they got rid of Orange Cassidy in 4 or 5 years. They lose 50,000 fans. At some point, it's going to start coming there. These smarks are smarks. At some point, they're going to start acting smartly towards AEW. You know what I mean?
Eventually it will happen where eventually people look, anything me and WJ have said like a few years ago eventually happens. And people don't it's happened so many times that people every time have forgotten about it. I said about the TNA thing, it happened. I said about the Global Force Wrestling thing, it happened. WJ said exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing about these two promotions. And it happened. And I want to, by the way, some breaking news there, John, or whatever the fuck. These people were saying that Cesaro was going to go to AEW. It's been revealed that apparently he signed a WWE contract again.
And because they just assumed, they assumed that Cesaro isn't a businessman. They assume that Cesaro is a smart like them. They assume that he's an indie fan like them, who's mad that he's not world champ back when he wasn't ready, right? But Cesaro is a businessman. He works for McMahon. But these guys just assume, hey, he used to wrestle for ROH. So he's an indie guy like us. He must hate McMahon. He must be getting tortured over there, Jerry. But the reality is Cesaro isn't Meltzer. These wrestlers don't think like Meltzer. You know what I mean? They're not all oppressed. They're making millions, for fuck's sake. Why would everybody want to leave to go wrestle for greener fucking grass or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a bunch of people smoking bad grass. They're smoking the pot that's been laced with angel dust. That's the kind of grass they're smoking, Jerry. Smoking crack over in AEW there, Jerry. LOL,
Okay.
and Zack Ryder was there. Yeah, Zack Ryder too. Oh, Zack Ryder. This is serious wrestler Matt Cardona. WWE mistreated him there. He's going to be a main eventer. 2 weeks later, he's gone. Like another big joke there.
Holy shit. It's just mental that some of these fans legit think that, like, the thing is that the dirt sheets as well is that they never, like, I'll give it a perfect example, right? It was like a few weeks ago where NXT beat AEW in the ratings. Easily, right? Didn't get reported once. Not once did it get reported by these dirt sheets at all. But this is the thing, that this is the one thing, and I think it's a suitable thing to end on, WJ. These very people that were so pro AEW, forgive me if I'm wrong, but weren't all of you bashing WWE because you thought NXT was better than WWE? Do you remember that?
I mean, NXT better than the main roster. It's these guys that are watching AEW. Their show isn't getting much viewership because it was designed for them, for the indie fans. Like McMahon could have, like, he could have Seth Rollins be NXT champ if he wanted to, and they could bring in more regular looking wrestlers, more big man wrestlers. But they make it look like an indie fed instead. You know what I mean? Because they were still making money off the indie fans there. The indie fans that left, but they're buying T-shirts of Johnny Gargano there. We hate McMahon, but we love NXT. It's a different promotion. They were still giving their money to McMahon. You know what I mean? But now they have a real second promotion that they can pretend to love more than McMahon or whatever. So they don't need to watch NXT, but NXT was designed for them, which is why it doesn't get any viewers, because it's indie wrestlers. They have good matches, but in-ring work isn't really what sells. Like even Eric Bischoff says this stuff, you know what I mean? McMahon knows this stuff. It's about big names, big money match. That's how McMahon makes big money with WrestleMania. It's not about fucking Chad Gable winning the Royal Rumble or whatever. You know what I mean? It's about making big money. That's what it is. Right? So fact is, Jerry, WWE is just better, Jerry. It is.
Simple as that. Well, well, is that us then, WJ? Shall we end this?
That's us, Jerry. So, like, oh, yeah, that's what I was fucking talking about there. I forgot where I was going. NXT, the reason it gets no viewers is because it looks like a fucking indie fed. It's Adam Cole that was champ for like 2 years. Is it casuals that want Adam Cole? No, it's indie fans. You know what I mean? Because he wrestled in Ring of Honor, indie fans like Adam Cole. Dave Meltzer said he was good or whatever. So this fed isn't even geared towards regular casual fans. It's presented like a fucking indie show. It's Kyle O'Reilly against Finn Balor. You know, and if the Indies and Bullet Club is so good, Jerry, Finn Balor is the guy that fucking created the Bullet Club. He was the creator of it. The supposed big star in Japan. How come he ain't getting any fucking viewers if he's NXT champ? Because he's not a star for real, right?
Yeah.
Adam Cole doesn't get any viewers because he's not a star. You know what I mean? That's why NXT don't get any viewers, because it's not a real WWE show. It's presented like an indie fed. And this was used to make money off indie fans. Plus, it was their developmental as well. You know what I mean? And now they're just using it to pretty much take away viewers. But if they wanted to, they could take Seth Rollins, put him on there. They could have Undertaker show up. Oh, Taker's going to cut a promo to address the NXT fans. He could destroy them with viewers if he wanted to. No problem. No problem, but he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He doesn't. So, because it's not even there to try to look good. It's to make money. So, or it's right now. It's to fucking kill AEW. You know, and if NXT didn't exist, if they do move to a different night, you know, most of these guys aren't even gonna watch AEW anyway. They might get up to 1 million viewers for a while, and then it's going to drop back down. You know what I mean? And the AEW fans are probably all going to watch NXT, most of them.
Yeah.
So if the show goes on a different night, NXT gains more viewership, a lot more. And then AEW can't claim to beat NXT every week. Because right now, that helps them out there. Oh, we're not doing fuck all viewership-wise, but we're beating NXT. That helps with the tribalism. It helps convince themselves that they're doing something good, even though SmackDown gets 3 times more viewership. The fact that they beat NXT makes them feel special or whatever. But if they do go on a different night, I think that'll actually help McMahon, because then NXT, you know, AEW, the whole, I gotta watch and support them for the war. They fucking, like on Twitter, there was guys talking about how they opened 3-4 TVs in their house to try to get more viewership. They're calling their grandma to try to get more viewership. Turn on the show, Ma. You know what I mean? But once NXT is out of the picture, you don't get this competitive feeling anymore there.
Exactly, yeah.
It's going to take away a lot of the fucking, the motivation to watch AEW, stuff like this. So
that happened to TNA, because TNA, what happened was that they went one-on-one with WWE for like, what was it, like 1 or 2 weeks? And then they had to move to Thursday because WWE brought in that Bret Hart storyline, if you remember. And they brought in the Bret Hart, and it just annihilated TNA. And then what happened was that TNA had like their own segment. But see, because they weren't competing with anyone, they were just sitting there, like just gathering dust. And it wasn't great. As you said, if McMahon pulls NXT away, AEW's fucked. Like, a lot of people seem to think that these viewers, like these other 700,000 viewers, are going to then move to AEW that brings it to 2 million. No, these weirdos are watching the two of them at the same time. Like, you got multiple, like, you got a laptop, you got a fucking PlayStation, you got all, like, you can live. It's not like in the 90s where you had one television and you could just watch one thing. It's not like that anymore. You got streaming now where you can literally watch, but like 2 different devices. People have got multiple devices now. So this concept that people are saying that, like NXT, and the thing is that see the ratings, they're nearly exactly the same. They're like what, 10,000 viewers between each other.
Well, some weeks, like this week, it was 800 to 600. So some weeks. Yeah. There's big difference, but you know, other weeks it's about the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, but then they just claim, oh well, you know, if SmackDown has 2.5 million, that's irrelevant. because we're not competing against SmackDown, but still, SmackDown is still destroying them in viewership. It's just the way it is. Oh, we only compete against NXT, so it's only the NXT number that matters. Says who? Meltzer? The fact is, like, Raw gets fucking twice as many viewers still. And that's when it's very low ratings. Normally, it crushes it every week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but that's irrelevant because we said so and Meltzer said so. It's only the NXT number that matters in fantasy world. The fact is you suck and the viewership shows it every fucking week. It doesn't matter if McMahon has a head start. The longer you go, the lower the views are going to go. It's the way it is. Wrestling fans are leaving. They're not coming, and it's not AEW that's going to bring them back. You know what I mean? That's only copy and paste shit on Twitter. I haven't watched wrestling in 10 years, and I came back just for AEW. My non-wrestling friend, I showed him Raw and AEW. He said AEW was better. It's all like propaganda, you know what I mean?
It really is, like, 100%. Well,
so
we should...
that's it for us, Jerry. We reached the 2-hour mark, Jerry.
Yes.
Expect a part 2 coming soon there.
Definitely. I'm actually free for the next few days, so who knows? It might be tomorrow. You never know, fans. You never know. But we might do one tomorrow or the next day. But I want to thank everyone for watching this show. Absolutely amazing. Fantastic reaction from everyone. And WJ, you want to sign us out there?
Until next time. Peace.